A very good afternoon to all brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. So today is the 20th of February 2022, Sunday class. So we'll be continuing from this book, the 9th lesson of the 6 Patriarchs, Platform Sutra. The last session, which was before Chinese New Year, we were at page 23. After we will continue from there. This one is the section on how the 6 Patriarchs actually received the transmission from the 5th Patriarch. Before we start, I would like to maybe do another short briefing, because today I think there was a new person by the name of Grace Lin. She is joining us for the first time. She is from Alostar. I think friend of Ponchi and the husband, Brother Chong. She told me she stay opposite. And she said she wants to learn meditation. So I told her, you can join us during the class. Then in between, read up that book, the blue book, which I sent out to Kayamitas too. And from there, follow us. But what I need to let those people who are new, especially Grace, they ought to understand is this Sunday class is slightly different, the format, from the normal Tuesday and Thursday class. Tuesday and Thursday class, we have shorter hours, 8 to 10:30. Whereas this one, the Sunday class, we have 3 hours, 3 to 6. So what we do is immediately after puja chanting, invocation to the devas, we will start the Dhamma sharing straight away. So this one is based on this book, the 9th lesson of the 6 Patriarchs Platform Sutra, which I delivered in the year 2015. Then it was somehow transcribed and we have it printed in a book form. So we are at page 23. Then after that, at about 4 to 4:30, depending on the time, we will stop for meditation. So the meditation for Sunday class is in between. It's 45 minutes. Whereas for the normal Tuesday class and Thursday class, immediately after the puja, we will immediately have our half an hour of meditation, awareness-based meditation. And after that, we will start our class. We will have the invocation to the devas. Then we will continue with our Dhamma sharing. At the moment, for the Tuesday and Thursday class, we are going through this wonderful Dhamma Lotus Flower Sutra. So Tuesday and Thursday class, they are both same format, continuation. But Sunday class is a different book, different format. Okay, so this one is just for those who are new. Okay, now we turn to page 23. So we will start off with paragraph 2. Page 23, paragraph 2, Sutra. The 5th Patriarch saw the astonished assembly and feared that they might become dangerous. Accordingly, he erased the verse with his shoe, saying, "This one means the poem too had not yet seen his true nature." But in bracket, I make a comment. I say, the word Master Xinhua used is seen, but this true nature cannot be seen. It's to be realized, because it's not the eye see. You have to realize it. Then the assembly agreed, maybe to let you all recollect how did we come to this part. It was based on an earlier poem by Sun Xiu. Sun Xiu was the chief disciple of Hongren, the fifth patriarch. So one day, Hongren felt it was time for all the disciples to come out with a poem to prove that they have the understanding so that he can transmit the patriarchship together with the rope and the bud to signify that they are qualified to receive the transmission from him. Then he told them, he said, it's about time that you all stop seeking those what they call tinted merits. Tinted merits means you make offering, you make dana, you do chanting, you do a lot of good things. But this type of merits are conducive for developing wholesomeness, merits, and all those things. They are useful, but they are called tinted merit because it's tinted by some motive behind. It's not the wisdom type of merits. So wisdom type of merit can lead to enlightenment, awakening, development of wisdom to liberate the mind so that you are not caught within the wheel of birth and death. Means samsara will not have power over you. So because of that, the fifth patriarch say, please do not chase after tinted merit because life is short. You better strive on with heedfulness to develop the cultivation and develop the understanding so that you may have the causes and condition to awaken and to take across all other beings. And because of that announcement, everybody was very excited. And one group of disciples that follow Sincere decided to tell the other disciple, he said, we all shouldn't be writing. We just leave it to our chief disciple, Master Sincere, to do it. And he should be the rightful person to come out with the poem and become eligible for the transmission. But Sincere was under pressure, tremendous pressure to come out. And he's scared if he was to openly declare or write the poem or the thing. What happened is that if the fifth patriarch doesn't agree to it or doesn't feel that he is up to the mark to receive the patriarchship, so he was very, very uneasy inside. A lot of doubt. The mind become not settled. So finally, after a long period, a few days of thinking and what the Sutra say, doubt and uncertainty, he finally come out with an idea to protect himself. He said he wait till middle of the night. He will go and write the poem. Then the next morning when people notice it, they will inform the patriarch. So if the patriarch were to say this is good and ask who is the one who wrote it, then he will admit and say he is the one. So that will solve his problem. But he didn't have the penetrative awakening. He has not realized his true nature. He has not understood the true mind, the silent mind within. And because of that, his poem was limited, but not bad. Actually, it's based on the sainthood way. If you cultivate according to his poem, the sainthood way is no problem. Because his poem is like, he said, this body and mind of ours is like a Bodhi tree, where Bodhi is enlightenment. The Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree and become enlightened. So it's called the Tree of Enlightenment. So he said this body of ours is like a Bodhi tree. Then the mind is like a mirror bright, understand? Then he said, polish it until it shines, so that no dust can alight, so that it's always ever mindful, then bright and all those things. But then the fifth Patriarch knew he has not penetrated that enlightenment, means he has not realized the true nature, the true mind. He was actually at the gate of enlightenment, but he doesn't know how to seize his mind to go in. So because of that, the fifth Patriarch actually didn't say whether it's good or bad. The fifth Patriarch said, okay, you all should recite this. He told the other disciple. He said, you recite this and practice according to it, a lot of merits will arise, and you will never be born in the woeful state. Means sainthood is possible. So Sensiu, of course, was very happy. So he said, yeah. When the fifth Patriarch approached him, you wrote the poem. He said, yeah, I wrote the poem. So hinting to the fifth Patriarch whether his poem is up to the mark or not to receive the transmission. But the fifth Patriarch is very compassionate. He actually gave him a chance. He explained quite a lot to Sun Xiu. He said, based on what you have written, you are very near, but you have not penetrated. Why not you go back and write me another poem, is it? To show that you have the understanding, that I will transmit the patriarchate to you. Once as you heard that, he became fearful again. He tried very hard, but he couldn't come up with another poem. Then in the meantime, what happened was, the whole temple, people were reciting this poem of Sensiu. Then as they passed by the kitchen area where Hui Ning was pounding the rice, Hui Ning heard this poem and asked the novice monk who recited it. He said, what is it that you are reciting? Oh, the novice monk said, this is a famous poem written by Sensiu. He said the fifth patriarch commented, say that it's very good. If you practice according to this, you will not fall into the evil destiny, the four woeful state. Then Hui Ning said, can you bring me that? I also would like to have a look at the poem. So that's why Hui Ning went. Then as he was there was another person, I think is an outsider, a lay person. Then Hui Ning suddenly said, I also has a poem to share, where he knew what Sensiu has written was limited. He has not seen the true mind, the true nature. He has not penetrated it. Then he asked the person, the lay person, to help him to write. Then the lay person was very surprised. He said, why can't you write yourself? why must you need me to write? He said, I'm an illiterate. I didn't go to school. I don't know how to write. I don't know how to read also. I said, I need you to read to me. Then I will read to you and you help me to write. So initially, the person who was a lay person, he was very surprised. How amazing, an illiterate, yet you want to write poem and don't know how to write all these things. Then the Huining, the future sixth patriarch, he told this lay person, he said, do not slight anybody because you never know. He said, the one that doesn't look the smartest may be the one that has the awakening. But the one that is very impressive may not have the true Dhamma or the understanding. So he said, if you are a true Dhamma practitioner, you shouldn't slight anybody. Then he said, okay, I will write for you. But promise to take me across if you gain enlightenment or the Patriarch. So he started to write. The moment that poem was recited, everybody was shocked. A counter sensuous poem. He tears sensuous poem apart. He said, Puti Pengusu means Bodhi has nothing to do with the tree. Bodhi is an enlightenment, awakening, nothing to do with the tree. Then Ming Jing Yi Fei Tai means that Mirror Bright understand that is not the true mind. That is the mundane mind. Then he said that nature originally 本来无一物，何处惹尘埃呢? He said originally there was nothing, empty. Then where can the dust alight? Because you don't arise a mind to hold on to it, to let it dwell. So that poem actually stunned a lot of people who read it. They say, how amazing is it? Illiterate, never come out to the shrine in front to cultivate, to study the Dhamma, to listen to the Dhamma. And yet he can come out with such amazing poem. So like what the Sutra say, the fifth Patriarch saw that the assembly was very surprised, astonished assembly, and fear that they might become dangerous because when they know that this guy is wiser than Sensio, it may give rise to problem. So the fifth Patriarch quickly used his shoe to rub it off and tell them, never mind, forget about this poem. Yeah, this poem also, he said, he used this word, he said, this part, which is the poem, also has not yet seen his nature. So this is what the fifth Patriarch mentioned. But the fifth Patriarch's meaning is different. He knew Huining has this ability to understand that, but he is still like very, we call it very raw, very inexperienced. He realized what that thing is. He has a glimpse, but he was born without the mundane mind. So he knew that true mind, but he doesn't really understand it. He doesn't really know how to use it and make use of it to develop the full awakening and all those things. Not until later. So now you continue the sharing, then you all can follow. Okay. So when the fifth Patriarch cleaned off the poem, the assembly agree, oh, never mind, they thought the fifth patriarch also does not agree to what is written by Huining. Then I continue, I say, then we move on to the next section of the Sutra. The next day, the patriarch, means the fifth patriarch, secretly went to the threshing floor, the kitchen there, where he saw Huining pounding rice with a stone tied around his waist, and he said to Huining, a seeker of the way would risk his very life for the Dhamma. Is this not the case? Here, the English translation was not so good. That's why I put the word bracket, risk. He used the English translation as a seeker of the way would forget his very life. So it should be the word risk. The English word forgot or forget is not appropriate. So the fifth patriarch knew why Huining was so daring to come out with a poem. Then we move on to the next section of the Sutra. I say, never mind, we will also read the commentary on page 80 because I also don't know what Xinhua wrote. So this part is a commentary by Master Xinhua. The next day, everyone was quiet and no longer worrying about who was enlightened and who was not. The fifth patriarch secretly left his room and went quickly to the threshing floor, or means the kitchen area, to see the great, Master Huining. As he went to peer about to see if anyone was looking, just like Sun Xiu, when he had finished writing the verse, he ran silently, darting glances over his shoulder to make sure no one saw him. When the fifth patriarch got to the threshing floor, he saw Huining pounding rice. He had tied a stone around his waist and pound rice so that others could eat. What was he doing? He was practicing the Bodhisattva way, forgetting others and having no notion of self. He did not think, why should I pound the rice for you to eat? You don't work. You don't do anything at all. I pound rice all day. It's very difficult. He did not think that way. Instead, he has thought, you do not work fine. I will do it myself. Just like one of my disciples who was so busy that when he was called to lunch, he said, wait a minute. I really like that kind of disciple, but not everyone can be like him. And the fifth patriarch asked, isn't that so? Means risking his life. Remember this, it must be this way. You must give up being afraid of difficulty to the point of forgetting to eat. No one knows how many days the sixth patriarch went without food. No one called him to eat, and he himself forgot about it until he had no strength. He tied a heavy rock around his waist to add weight to his body so that he could pound the rice. I think he used the stone to add to his bodily weight because he had not eaten for some time. That is Master Xinhua's commentary here. But I said, I think this is Master Xinhua's commentary, but in real life, I don't think this is the case. He still eats, but he eats with understanding and he adds on the weight because he is not heavy enough to pound. So adding the stone pestle is just a skillful means which is appropriate so that it can make your weight heavier. Then with that, you need less effort to lift the pestle that pound the rice. Okay, we shall go on. However, You should not get attached and think it was definitely like that. On the other hand, don't think it definitely wasn't like that. The profound insight comes from precisely that kind of non-attachment. This is Xinhua's way of explaining. So the above is based on Xinhua's commentary. We just leave it. Then page 81 of the Sutra, the Sixth Patriarch Platform Sutra. The Sutra continue. He said, then the fifth Patriarch asks, is the rice ready? This one is interesting, the exchange. Huineng replied, the rice has long been ready. So in bracket is my comment. Actually, the English use is not so good. The other version, ready long ago since the day I arrived, is a better version. This one I found it in the internet. This is better. It is now waiting only for the sieve. The reply by Huineng was very good. The rice was ready long ago, waiting for the sieve. The patriarch tapped the pestle 3 times with his staff and left. Huineng then knew the patriarch's intention, and at the third watch, he went into the patriarch's room. Sanken means 6 hours later. So this is how the transmission started. I will continue with the commentaries. So we might have to spend time going through the commentary first. The fifth patriarch wrapped the pestle 3 times with his staff and left. All monks who have led a home life to become bhikkhu often carry a walking stick. Sometimes these staffs are made of twisted beans. The great master Xu said, you got to pick the ivy lively like a dragon, beating wind and rain, beating empty space. The ivy vine curves and twists like a dragon, who by attacking the wind and rain attacks empty space. That is certainly a case of going out to look for trouble. If that veins were as busy as my disciple, he would have no time to beat space and wind. Knock, knock, knock went the fifth patriarch stopped. And how do you know he left? If you know, then you know. If you don't know, then you must wait till I tell you. He went out with his 2 hands behind his back, holding the crooked staff. Why did the patriarch tap 3 times? Do you understand the meaning of that? The sixth patriarch understood right away. The tapping means come to my room at the 3rd watch at midnight. This is called speaking the Dhamma without words. Here in the meditation hall, for example, when the wooden fish is hit twice, it means walk. Hit once, it means stop and sit down. Hit 3 times, it means meditate, work hard. All these are like speaking the Dhamma without words. Why did the fifth patriarch carry his staff behind his back? Now you are going to ask, how did you know he carried it behind his back? Since it doesn't say so in the Sutta. Well, how do you not know? I know that you don't know. He carried it behind his back to indicate that the sixth patriarch should come in by the back door. Do not let the others see you come. That one is true. If the fifth patriarch had said openly, come to my room at the 3rd watch and we will have a little talk, I'm sure that the word would have spread like wildfire to Sensu's ear, and Sensu and his disciple would have come, would have not been very kind to the sixth patriarch. The fifth patriarch tested the sixth patriarch's wisdom by tapping his staff 3 times and putting it behind his back. The sixth patriarch understood, but no one else. They were all as if deaf or dumb, without any idea as to what had transpired in this wordless exchange of Dhamma. At midnight, as soon as the sixth patriarch enters the room, there was a quick exchange. "What are you doing here?" demanded the fifth patriarch. "But the patriarch told me to come at the third watch," came the reply. "Really? Did I tell you that? How could I have forgotten? What do you think you are doing? Why did you come in through the back door instead of the front door? Did the master not tell me to use the back entrance?" The fifth patriarch laughed and said, "You are not bad, really not bad. You are alright, miss. Huining has the wisdom. You ask, how do I know that? I ask, how do you not know it?" That was a commentary by Master Xinhua, but it's not important. We should go back to the Sutra, which is more interesting. The patriarch covered them with his precept sash, so they could not be seen. And he explained the Diamond Sutra for him down to the line. One should produce a thought that is nowhere supported. This one is a very powerful awakening. This one is actually recited by the other merchant before Huineng came. So here the sutra differs a bit. Anyway, we shall read on to see what Master Xinhua's commentary is. So commentary by Master Xinhua. The fifth patriarch was afraid that someone might have seen the great Master Huineng enter his room and might be outside the window eavesdropping. At that time, the window was made of paper. So to ensure privacy, the fifth patriarch pulled his robe over both their heads. The fifth patriarch's explanation of the Diamond Sutra was not a public one, such as I have given you. His was a secret and very difficult explanation, telling the sixth patriarch how to forge an indestructible Vajra body. When he heard the word, one should produce a thought which is nowhere supported. Huineng achieved the great enlightenment and knew that all the 10,000 Dhamma are not separate from the self-nature. He suddenly experienced that even greater enlightenment. Although the sixth patriarch knew the method, his applications of views and thought have not yet been completely eliminated. That he was waiting for the sieve can mean also that no one had certified him, even though in his intense vigor he had reached a high peak, and the fire in the essential was pure green. He had not yet been certified by a good knowing advisor. So when the fifth patriarch heard him say that the rice was ready and merely waiting for the sieve, he prepared to certify the sixth patriarch. Because I had a kind of radar, I was able to record their conversation, and I shall now replay it for you. Keep in mind that this is Tang Dynasty recording, not the present day. So this one is Xinhua's joke. Do you want to reach Buddhahood? Asked the fifth patriarch. Yes, said the sixth patriarch. I just want to be a Buddha. I do not seek anything else. I only want to attain Buddhahood. Your resolution is extremely firm, replied the fifth patriarch. But if you want to realize Buddhahood, you must first cut off ignorance. For it is ignorance which produces the affliction of delusion, brought on the false view and false thought. If you want to cut off this affliction, you must first cut off ignorance. For example, the cycle of birth and death is based on the state of emotional love. When you break through ignorance, then the delusion of false view and false thought, which are tied to birth and death, also cease to exist. For ignorance is the root of birth and death. You want to cut off ignorance and thereby put an end to birth and death. Then, as the Diamond Sutra say, produce a thought which is nowhere supported. That means, do not dwell on emotional love. Get rid of desire and cast out craving. Then you can bring an end to birth and death. The sixth Patriarch heard this and suddenly became enlightened. He saw through to his original face and said, it is basically just like that. It's not difficult at all. In fact, it's very easy. Thus, he became enlightened. So this is Xinhua's commentary. Mm. This has been a Tang Dynasty recording which has just been played for you to hear. In cultivating and studying the Buddha Dhamma, you should produce an unsupported thought. Means a thought that has no dwelling, doesn't dwell anywhere. That means to dwell neither in emotion or love. If you dwell in emotion and love, you dwell in ignorance, and thus in birth and death. You do not dwell in emotion or in love. If you do not dwell in existence or non-existence, you know the middle way. The middle way is not separate from existence and is not separate from emptiness, nor does it exist elsewhere. The ability to transform emotion and love into genuine prajna or wisdom is enlightenment. Not changing them is confusion. It is said, although the sea of suffering, Kuhai, is inexhaustible, a turn of the head is the other shore. The difference between confusion and enlightenment is just in knowing how to turn. If you accept emotion and love and run after desire, then the more you run, the more confused you become. You can turn your head, you arrive at nirvana, the other shore. If you do not turn your head, you become more and more confused. The more confused, the further away you are and deeper you sink into confusion. But although you are extremely far off, one turn can be sudden enlightenment. Sudden enlightenment is awakening. Once you awaken, you are the Buddha. You may be thinking, if I become a Buddha, there won't be any more work for me to do. Wouldn't I just sit in a lotus flower all day and wait for people to come and light incense and bow before me? Frankly, I don't think that sounds the least bit interesting. If that is what you think, you can go on being a living being. But you can be a living being who is a friend to others, taking them across to Buddhahood means become a bodhisattva. You need not worry about Buddhahood being uninteresting. Yesterday I talked about a ghost who had no problem or trouble, and as a consequence did not want to become a human being or person. So this is Xinhua's poem. I've been a ghost for 3,000 years, without happiness, without fear. Sun Guang tells me to go to a man. But I really just don't think I can. The ghosts have no fear, but they only come out at night because they belong to the yin, the darkness principle. The Buddha is totally young, like the light of the sun. So you decide, do you want to be a ghost or a Buddha? Do you want to be a ghost? Then it is alright to have emotion and love. But if you want to be a Buddha, you must produce a thought which is nowhere supported. So this part was Master Xinhua's interpretation. This part was not in the new translation. That's why I saw the new translation as given in my Heart Sutta short notes book. That one is more authentic. Anyway, we shall move on to the next section of the sutta and see what Xinhua say. This part of the sutta is very good. At the moment he heard those words, Huining experienced the great enlightenment. And he knew that all the 10,000 Dhamma was not separate from the self-nature. He said to the Patriarch, how, here again the translation of Xinhua, the English word is not so good. They use the word unexpected. I think it's a direct translation from the Mandarin, must be. The self-nature is originally pure in itself. Actually, the word should be how amazing. They were really amazed. How amazing the self-nature is originally not produced nor destroyed. How amazing the self-nature is originally complete in itself. How amazing the self-nature is originally without movement. How amazing the self-nature can produce the 10,000 Dhammas. So this part is quite similar, except the word they use unexpected. We should change it to amazing. And we skip the rest and go on to the Sutta section again. The fifth patriarch knew of Huineng's enlightenment to his original nature and said to him, studying the Dhamma without recognizing the original mind or the true mind is of no benefit. If one recognizes one's original mind and see one's original nature or true nature, then one is called a great hero, teacher of man and God, a Buddha. Okay, we shall go on to the next section of the Sutta. So he received the Dhamma in the third watch, and no one knew about it. The fifth patriarch also transmitted the southern teaching and the rope and the bowl or the alms bowl, saying, you are the sixth patriarch. Protect yourself carefully. Take living being across by every means and spread the teaching for the sake of those who will live in the future. Do not let it be cut off. So based on what is written here, I think the translation differs based on what we have got from the other version which I had extracted from the internet. That one is more authentic, and I had used that version in our Heart Sutta short notes sharing. This first verse, the mind must have no dwelling. He actually heard it from the merchant earlier on, before he came to see the fifth patriarch. And when the fifth patriarch expounded the Diamond Sutta to him halfway through, Huineng suddenly became greatly enlightened. Suddenly, Huineng awakened to a very profound and great enlightenment. Can you all remember what that section was? When the fifth patriarch read to him that part, which part was it? Can anybody recall? It's not this part. This part was by Master Xinhua. The other one, which was in the Heart Sutta short note, that one is very accurate. The fifth patriarch explained to Huineng, because the self-nature or the true nature was already complete, thus, without anything. Then he continued, even if you have understood this, you have to know that as a living being, when you come to this world, there is another mind, which is the mundane mind. This part was the authentic version. The conditioned arising mind. You have to learn how to use that mind and yet not be affected by it or not to be deceived by it. The moment he heard that, he came to great enlightenment. And that one was very profound, and that was the authentic version. So as far as this version, Shenhua is concerned, you just have an open mind. His understanding is this way. Maybe he got it from another source. Then we move on. We have to turn to page 94. So page 94 is that sixth patriarch platform Sutra book, not our book. The patriarch further said, in the past, when the first patriarch, great Master Bodhidharma first came to this land, and people did not believe in him, yet he transmitted his robe as a symbol of faith to be handed down from generation to generation. The Dhamma is transmitted from mind to mind, leading everyone to self-awakening and self-enlightenment. From ancient time, Buddha only transmit the original substance, the Buddha. Masters secretly transmit the original mind to master. Since the rope is a source of contention, it should stop with you. Do not transmit it, for if you do, your life will hang like by a thread. So this was the instruction from the fifth patriarch to Huining. That's why after Huining, he didn't pass down anything. Is the alms bowl and the rope was no longer necessary to be passed down. So that's how after the sixth patriarch, he was advised not to pass on the alms bowl and the rope anymore. Then we go on to page 95, last paragraph. The fifth patriarch told Huining, you must go quickly, for I fear that people might harm you. Huining asked, where shall I go? The patriarch replied, stop at Hui, and hide. Stop at Huai. Oh, stop at Huai and hide at Hui. Hui, sorry. Stop at Huai and hide at Hui. Huining received the robe and bow in the third watch. He said Huining is a southerner and does not know this mountain road. How does one reach the mouth of the river? The fifth patriarch said, you need not worry, I will accompany you. The fifth patriarch escorted him to the Zhujiang, Korea station and ordered him to board a boat. The fifth patriarch took up the oar and rowed. Huining said, please, High Master, sit down. It is fitting that your disciple takes the oar. The patriarch replied, it is fitting that I take you across. Huining said, when somebody is deluded, his master takes him across. But when he is enlightened, he takes himself across. Although the term take across is the same in each case, the function is not the same. So in Mandarin it's better tu. They use the word tu. So that was the conversation. We shall now go through the commentaries. So this commentary is by Xinhua. The fifth patriarch instructed the sixth patriarch to leave quickly, for he knew that Sensu's follower would certainly want to kill him when they realized that he had inherited the patriarchship. Do not stay here, fifth patriarch says. Stop at Hui and hide. Stop at Huai and hide in Hui. Huai is a district of Guangxi, Wuzhou, and Hui is Suhui, now called Xinhua. The High Master is a respectful form of address used for a teacher or an abbot. So the sixth patriarch used it to address the fifth patriarch. High Master, it is only proper that your disciple take the oar. Hey, said the fifth patriarch, let me take you across. The master and disciple exchange courtesies. But although they each use the same term, take across, it meant something different in each case. For the teacher, to take the disciple across is not the same thing as the disciple to take the teacher across. Huining understood. When the student is confused, he said, teacher must save him. But when the student becomes enlightened, he must save himself. Before becoming enlightened and obtaining the original substance of the self-nature, the disciple is confused and lost. His teacher advised him to work hard. Do not be afraid of the pain in your leg when you sit in meditation. If you are afraid of suffering, you cannot become enlightened. This one is very true. The sixth patriarch, when he hung a stone around his waist so that he could pound the rice harder, was not afraid of suffering. The rock which the layman Lu, the sixth patriarch, used to tie around his waist when he found rice still at Ping Mao Mountain at Dongshan Chansi, and carved on the rock is the inscription, the rock of Huining. The former layman Lu tied around his waist. So this one, it seems, is still there. Then the sutra continued. Huining was born in the frontier region, and his pronunciation is incorrect. Yet he had received the Dhamma transmission from the master. Now that enlightenment has been attained, it is only fitting that he take his own nature across. The Patriarch replied, so it is, so it is. Hereafter, because of you, the Buddha Dhamma will be widely practiced. 3 years after you depart, I will leave this world. Means the fifth Patriarch will pass away. 3 years after your departure, I will leave this world. Start on your journey now and go south as fast as possible. Do not speak too soon, for the Buddha Dhamma arises from difficulty. So based on this statement, he will come to understand that the fifth Patriarch would pass away into Parinibbana 3 years after Huineng left him. We can skip this part and go to page 101, the Sutta. After Huineng took leave of the Patriarch, he set out on foot to the south. In 2 months, he reached the Tao mountain. The fifth Patriarch returned to the monastery, but for several days he did not enter the hall. The assembly was concerned and went to ask, has the master some slight illness or problem? There is no illness, came the reply, but the robe and Dhamma has already gone south. Who received the transmission, they asked. The able one obtained it, said the Patriarch. The assembly then understood, and soon several hundred people took up pursuit, all hoping to steal the robe and the bud. So this was in the Sutra. This part was not mentioned in the summarized version, but the next section which we are going to read is reflected in the video show, the 6th Patriarch Huineng show. So I believe this part was in the Sutra. So turn to page 103. This one is also quite interesting. The Sutra say one bhikkhu, Hui Ming, a coarse-natured man, whose lay name has been Chen, had formerly been a 4th-class military official. He was intent in his search and ahead of others. When he had almost caught up with Huineng, the latter tossed the book, the robe and the bud onto a rock, saying, the robe and the bud are token of faith. How can they be taken by force? Huineng then hid in a thicket. When Hui Ming arrived, he tried to pick them up, but found he could not move them. He cried out, cultivator, cultivator, I have come for the Dhamma, not for the robe. Huineng then came out and sat cross-legged on the rock. Hui Ming made observance and said, I hope that the cultivator will teach the Dhamma for my sake. Huineng said, since you have come for the Dhamma, you must put aside all conditions. Do not give rise to a single thought, and I will teach it to you clearly. So that sentence is very important. Do not give rise to a single thought. It's silent completely. That is what meditation is. That's why in the bracket there, I explained. I said, can you do it? Now I shall say to you the same thing. Do not give rise to a single thought. You try, you can try. Then I will help you awaken. You can do that. You are already destined for enlightenment. After a while of silence, Huineng said, with no thought of good and bad, means with no thought of good and no thought of evil. At just this moment, what is superior one? Hui Ming's original face. At this word, Hui Ming was really enlightened. See, it's so easy. So can we try now? Laughing. So the commentary we shall read through now. I think maybe we can stop here. We will stop here. We will mark this page 40. Page 40. We will continue the commentary later on. So this advice that the sixth patriarch give to Hui Ming is very good. You can have a mind that is without thought, then you are destined for enlightenment. In fact, meditation is just that. Can you just relax, maintain awareness, silent, don't think, don't do anything? You should find out. You should try it out in the meditation. See what happens. And when you can do that, one day you will understand. Because the moment you are without thought, the awareness will come back. The true mind, the original mind will return. That is your true mind. That is your true nature. Then when you realize that, stabilize it, you will awaken. The enlightenment is basically the silent mind without thought. Means you have to develop the meditation to come to this understanding that you have two minds. One is the mundane mind, the conditioned arising mind, the thinking mind. That one is very, very active, very heedless. Before you have the right view, right understanding, and the number, you will be heedless. You will think a lot. This mind will wander everywhere, lashes onto all the phenomenal world of form and consciousness. Then it becomes entangled. But when you are able to meditate, means to develop the understanding to completely silence your mind. When you can completely silence your mind without thought, that is your true mind. That is your true nature, which is tranquil, still, unmoving. So stabilize that. Then you will know this is the unconditioned. Without thought, without words, without concept or idea, there will be no more emotion, no more duality, nothing. So the realization of that true mind, that true nature is very important. Where there is the unconditioned. From there, all things arise. You must see it. Then you must understand the form and mind is not what you think. Your true nature is beyond. The form and mind is karmically conditioned out for you to come to this existential world, to allow you to perform the function of a human being, to cultivate, to go through life, to experience karma, to fulfill your vows, to do your duties, to experience everything that you want to experience. So this understanding of the conditioned and the unconditioned are very, very important. Without this understanding, you cannot penetrate. So okay, with this explanation, hopefully it will help you to develop the meditation of this. Okay, we will off the light. Then we can have our 45 minutes of awareness-based meditation. Just relax body and mind completely. Relax means be at ease. No need to think, no need to do anything, just silent completely. When you are relaxed, you got no problem. You are at ease, completely at ease. And whatever arises, let it arise. Don't resist, don't fight, don't do anything. Then always remember, the moment you are without thought, you are already aware. So the second support is after you relax body and mind, you maintain awareness. To maintain awareness is not to think, because the moment you are without thought, you are already aware. So not to think is very important. But you cannot force your mundane mind not to think. You cannot tell the mundane mind to stop thinking unless you have trained it. You have developed the understanding, the wisdom, and the awakening. Otherwise, it can't. It will continue to think. So the second step is very important. The second support, maintain awareness. Means whatever arises, let it arise. It can be a thought. It can be a emotion or whatever, or tactile contact between the senses and the external phenomenal world. Whatever, aware, finish. Aware, finish. That's why you maintain awareness. Just aware, finish. Aware, finish. So if you are patient enough, you don't allow the thought to continue to create thinking. You don't try to know, don't try to do anything. Then this thought will lose its momentum and cease. Initially, it will slow down, then finally, it will come to an end. That's why we call it the ceasing of that emotion. The very flowering of that thought is the very ending of that thought. Means when it flowers until it's no more energy to flower, means the thought cannot move anymore. The emotion cannot move anymore. So the supporting condition behind, when it ceases to be, then that whole dependent originating mind state also ceases. So the fourth support is based on this understanding. First is to relax. Relax into every mind state that arises. Whether it's a tension or a tightness or stress within, you just relax. Be at ease. Let things be. Then maintain awareness. Aware, finish. Aware, finish. Don't try to know anything. If you want to anchor it to something, you can. Like your skillful means, object of meditation or whatever, your anapanasati or whatever. You anchor it to there, then maintain awareness of the object of meditation. It can be rising, falling, or whatever. Then for those who are more skillful, already quite stable, you can stay at the heart area. Then wherever you can detect any vibration or your heartbeat, stay there, be with it until the awareness and the movement become one. That allow the mind to develop the stability of the awareness. Just aware, don't try to know, don't try to do anything. And the third support is stabilize it. Maintain the awareness for as long as you can. In fact, meditation, awareness-based meditation is very easy to develop the awareness within, then to stabilize it. Then after you can do that, you will come to realize what that silent mind is, what that true mind is. Then you will come to understand without thought, who are you? What are you? So all this understanding will help you develop the meditative understanding leading to the awakening. then you can see very clearly how your thinking arises, how thought arises, how the mundane thinking, mundane activity, the aggregates of mind, how they come to be, following exactly what the Buddha mentioned, the law of dependent origination, paticca samuppada, the dwelling, dependent on something, something arises. If there is no avijja, there is no thinking, no sankhara. That's why avijja paticca sankhara. Then sankhara make contact with the brain. That's why it arises mental consciousness. So avidya paccaya sankhara, sankhara paccaya vijnana, that's how it come about. Then you input the content of consciousness, it becomes namarupa, the fourth link. Then dependent on this namarupa, there must be sense basis, salayatana. Then because of salayatana, there must be contact. Salayatana are your sense basis. So to arise consciousness, there must be contact. So contact of sense spaces with the mundane mind, with the pure consciousness, the trigger of the namarupa is very important. You can see it very clearly. So they always say upon contact, feeling arises. Actually, feeling is one of the 7 universal. Apart from feeling, there is also contact. Then there is also perception, manasikara, many other things inside there. But once it become namarup, means the form and mind, the thought, that one you should see clearly with awareness. The whole content of consciousness is everything that your mind can do. That's why you can see how your views, opinion, conditioning, belief system, how they come in and condition you into various form of delusion, how you are being deceived by the phenomenal world of form and consciousness through delusion, through ignorance, especially Sakkaya Ditthi delusion. You cling on to the egoic self, the egoic mind. Then from there, the evil roots of greed, hatred, and delusion, possessiveness, envy, jealousy, fear, worry, anxiety, all these emotions arise. These are the evil roots that condition your wrong thought, your deluded thought. So meditation is to silence everything, to observe all this, to come to understand clearly who are you, what are you, and how you function as a human being, and what is this form and mind is all about. Beyond the form and mind, what are you? Who are you? Is there another nature within that is beyond the thought, beyond the thinking mind? So all this is part and parcel of the whole process of meditation. Understanding all this will bring about awakening, enlightenment. So I will set the alarm for 45 minutes so that you can continue with your awareness-based meditation. You can either sit or lie down or lean against the wall or sit on a chair if your leg is having problem. Otherwise, you can try your sitting. Whatever posture is not important. The more important thing is to train your mind to be completely without thought, silent, following the four support. Relax, maintain awareness, and maintain awareness for as long as you can, technically 24 hours. Then the last support is trust. Trust is only for those who have already developed the meditation, stabilize the awareness nature already, and then you stay around the heart area and trust your nature to do the meditation, to locate the gateway into your nature. So there is a full support, which most people will not have to do until later. Okay, yeah. You can slowly, mindfully come out of the meditation. Try to maintain whatever inner peace, inner calmness, and inner awareness that you have developed for as long as you can. These are the mind states that you have trained to develop the ability to be heedful, to be aware in the midst of life. Then make full use of this trained mind state to live life, to develop heedfulness in life, and to develop the daily mindfulness, stability of it. Okay, now we will continue with our second session. This next session is meditation reporting.
Hello,
Hello, Amitabha, yes.
Mrs. Teo and all Kayamita.
Yes.
Okay, what shall we talk about today? Bird, you actually, for me, because of my family, how do you call that? Family new edition, right?
Yes.
Preparation for my daughter's wedding. So actually, I like to seek your advice and what is the to have some understanding.
Yes.
What is the I because I have not really have a proper understanding of family wedding following the Buddhism way. So
is it the first time you are doing it for your children?
Yes, correct.
Oh, okay.
So I want to understand from Mrs. Teo and Brother Teo, I understand your son already married, right?
No, like yours, registration of marriage.
Or registration of marriage also.
But 1 year plus already. 1 year plus already.
So, okay, maybe through Brother Teo's understanding, what
my daughter was married many years ago. She, I think, was married in the year 2012. So that was quite long ago. What is it that you want to develop understanding? Is there any particular aspect?
Yes. You see, for me, I mean, I have not. I have not understand anything from my Buddhism class in the temple in this aspect.
Okay.
So I have not read any books that at least I have not come across any
There's
books.
a sutta. There's a sutta, Sigalovada Sutta. The Buddha talk about it. On how you conduct yourself as a human being, your relationship with your children, with your staff, with your in-law, with your neighbors, with all the other people that you have relationship with. It's all mentioned, even your duty as parent. One of them is to develop the support and understanding to actually marry them out. Is the duty of a parent. Then as a children, they also have a duty towards their parents. They are all stated there. That's why I want you to let me know which aspect, because we can approach marriage from many aspects. basically you are a Chinese. Then it also involve your husband, your spouse. Then, of course, this one is your daughter. Then you have your daughter's in-law side. Then you have the new member, the son-in-law, and all those things. So all this, they also have their own particular aspect of understanding when it comes to marriage, because Chinese have their own tradition, and different dialect of Chinese have different type of tradition. So tradition can be one, but most of the time you don't have the Dhamma understanding, you don't have an open mind, you don't know how to approach this, there can be problem. There can be situation which is very ugly. So earlier, I think you also heard of the sharing from Elsie. So Elsie also, because it was also her daughter, almost gone through the ROM and the marriage. Then there are other kilometers who also seek my advice and help where they encounter problem, they encounter situation. So all these are very important understanding that we have to establish. That's why just now I asked you, is there any particular aspect that you want me to talk on? Maybe I will take it as a general question where I try to explain as much as I can cover. Would that be okay to you? Project?
Yes, Brother Theo, yes. Because actually, Sigalovada Sutta, Brother Theo had mentioned this before.
I mentioned it before.
Yes, and taught us this before. So that one aspect, kind of relationship and our duty as a spouse, children, those are the stuff we understand. We understand and we perform it. We perform it in our daily life, lah. So, but comes to like marriage, right? How to go about it in a way that we want to have
that's why these are all covered. You see, the Buddhist way is very simple. I mean, relatively much more simple, but it's the tradition that complicates the matter. So this one, we have to have the Dhamma to actually have the understanding and the open mind to make sure everything is properly done. I think for your case, because I can see the joy, the photo, all those things, you must have gone through it very smoothly, very well. There is no problem at all for both sides. So you are blessed. Very few people can have such situation. But with the Dhamma, I realize it's a lot easier. A lot easier because we are simple. We are not so rigid in our approach to marriage. Because most important thing that I always advise Kayamita is when it comes to marriage, when it comes to relationship, we have to understand one key fundamental thing. Each and every one of us, we are born of our karma, heir to our karma, conditioned and supported by our karma, and we are what we are because of our karma. So if your children, maybe your son or your daughter, in this case it's your daughter, is getting married, that is her life. Our duty as parents is to advise, to arrange for their marriage, to support them, to get the ball rolling, to kick off the support. Because sometimes children, they also don't know what to do. Especially the boy, if they want to marry somebody, sometimes the lady side, the in-law side, they may have a lot of rigid rules or tradition or things that people tell them. So they want a certain type of condition. And it can bring about misunderstanding, argument, and problem. So earlier on, there was one case also. There was, I think, a few. Maybe I just mention it generally without mentioning name. There was one there that the daughter wanted to get married. Then as they come over and discuss, everything was already more or less resolved and settled. But then the only problem arises. The son-in-law, they want to follow Christian tradition. Then the father, as usual, the first thing that happened is she strongly objected. He said, no, has to be Buddhist. Oh, then the thing started. Oh, until the thing almost couldn't go through. Everybody was like worried. Then the wife called me. This is what we need you to help. Then she told me what happened. Then after that, actually, he said, I hope you can talk to my husband so that he can understand. I said, no problem. I talked to him. Then I explained to him, I said, you have to understand, when it comes to marriage, you have to think of what is best for your children, your daughter, not about you anymore. That's why the question, who is getting married? You are getting married or your daughter is getting married. But you have a duty as a parent to advise and understand. You have your tradition, your belief system, or what I should say, your principles or conscience. You want it in certain way, you have the right. I mean, that is your right. But your right should not extend beyond your children's right. Because the children is getting married, not you. So as long as your daughter or your children is okay, is happy, then you should support them. But you should also advise them your marriage is not something you take for granted, because marriage involves a major understanding and sacrifice. It involves your entire future after that. Once you are married, that's why the Chinese also have a lot of saying. It is very detrimental when you marry the wrong guy. Then karmically, suffering, misery will follow. So all this saying has its meaning. A wrong decision in marriage can have great implication. And who you marry to, whether it's meant to be or coming that you have to pay or what, you have to understand. Then apart from that, you also have to advise them as children, because it involves such decision. You have to make sure, is this the partner that you want to have as life partner after marriage? Well, otherwise, after that, it's very difficult to resolve, because the entanglement can be very, very severe and traumatic. But nowadays, I realize it's not so bad nowadays. Nowadays, the youngsters are different. They all treat this as more like more acceptable in the way that they are not so badly affected. Of course, not all the case. Some of the case they are also badly affected, but most of them I realize want to get married. Some they say marry lah. But a lot of them, especially youngsters, now they take it very seriously. They know what they want and all those things. So for that, I think that category is not so bad. But a lot of the other category, situation force them to get married. They get into a situation where they got no choice. They have to end up getting married. Then I have heard of a lot of example or incident that my daughter told me their generation on. They have this marriage agreed upon. Then the bridegroom, the boy, go and book all the wedding dinner, everything, paid all the deposit, everything. Then on the day of marriage, the bride-to-be disappear. Didn't turn out, not around. Then they cannot cancel the wedding dinner and a lot of things. Then sometime after they are married, not long, they cannot get along. They just want to divorce. And to them, it's like, to break up is like very normal, very normal. Even to change partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, it's like to them it's very normal. They say the new generation is different. But what I'm trying to explain to you is to use our Dhamma understanding to approach this question of marriage to fulfill our duty as a parent, to advise them and to do our part and our role. So that part I have already explained a bit regarding how we advise our children, because it's a major decision. It's their life. So if it's not something that they can like understand, then it's better not to get involved. But if it's something that they can understand, then they are willing to see it through. Then the next part after marriage or registration of marriage is very important. So let me go through a few more examples before I zero into the understanding part. There was another case involving another Kayamita. This one is more complicated. The daughter also actually initially was very smart, got federal scholarship, everything. Then very good at study. Then because of karmic thing, when overseas, then study, then halfway through got problem, then come back. Then after that came and see me. That one resolved. That one nothing to do with marriage. That one nothing to do with marriage. So that one was clear. Then she became much better, and she determined to like come back and study local. Then she did fairly well. But then the problem start again. Suddenly, second year or final year, I forgot already. Suddenly, the parent called me again. I said, I thought resolved already. He said, yeah, right till resolved already. I don't know what happened. Now it's another situation. It seems they are Chinese family background. But in the uni, the doctor like somebody who is from Middle East, a Muslim, those things. So that's why the parent cannot take it like shock, So the wife consulted me and I replied an email explaining the duty and all those things, and who is getting married and all those things. Then take care of karma, do your duty. And then she very good. Straight away she understands. He said, no problem. Thank you so much, brother. Now I know what to do. He said, my husband want to complain, Jamo, what I leave it to him. But for her, she understands already. She applied the Dhamma. She just do her duty, advise the daughter. But finally, I think the consequence of all this decision, the daughter start to realize. Because you have to explain to your children when you are in love, a lot of the question you never ask. You never even think of it. Because if you marry into another family with different belief system, culture, and overseas, especially Middle East and all those things, are you sure you can fit in? They haven't even gone over to the boys' home and haven't find out a lot of things. So luckily, because of the advice to the mother, then the mother spoke to the daughter. Then I think finally they managed to get her to sort things out. Then she came to realize it was really a dangerous thing. So finally, the relationship, they just didn't go ahead. So there was a great relief. Then, of course, there are a lot of other marriage that after getting married many years later, problems start. Then involving third party, ending up divorce and or court case litigation, or so many. Then the worst is with children and all those things. Then these things surface. In fact, a lot of them came and consult me. Of course, the bulk of it is through Srian. Some with suicidal thought and all those things. So there were many, many. So I always advise Kalyana that according to the Buddhist teaching under Sigalovada Sutra, we have a duty not only bring up our children, provide for them the food and shelter, the education, the support, then of course introduce them to some form of Dhamma understanding so that they will know how to live life, so that their life will be taken care of, so that they will not make mistakes. Then teach them the importance of karma, precepts, and all these things, but not to be rigid, because tell them your life, you decide. Like for your case, I think you wish them to have the Dhamma. Of course, all parents wish the best for their children. Yeah. But always remember, their life, let them decide what they want. Be a different time. When they are not ready, don't force them. No point. They have their life. They are born of their karma, heir to their karma, conditioned and supported by their karma. They are what they are because of their karma. But for them to be your children, you also know there are coming affinity. That's why I saw your daughter so similar to your face. So pretty, so full of joy, so young. So these are the time where they will have the good life. Like you can see from the registration of marriage photo and all those things. Then even as parents, they're rejoicing and all those things. But always remember, don't end up arguing over small things, like how the marriage is to be conducted, and later on the wedding part. Be simple. For me, both my children I gone through, we were lucky in the sense that our children's boyfriend or girlfriend, the family, they are not sophisticated and rigid type. They are also relatively simple people, both of the same race, and they are actually very easy to talk to. They also say they also very simple. They are not so concerned about culture. When I explain to them their life, let them decide. They agree. They straight away agree. So both also go through very harmoniously and with good understanding. Then, of course, especially my son's side and the wife side, they know what they want. That's why they make sure it's compatible. Then only they talk to us. So when they talk to us, my son also don't know what to do. He said, "Daddy, how?" I said, "Don't worry. You need my support. You need me to go down and talk to the wife, the spouse, in-law side or what. We will represent you as parent. We will give you the full support. Just let us know. Then need to go down to visit them, pay them a visit. Then like courtesy call and all those things. Then ask for their hand. We do it. Then between the two of you, of course, they can resolve it among themselves. But luckily, her parents are also very simple people. We met the mother, the parent, the father, then they are very simple. So it was harmoniously resolved and agreed upon. And we had good gathering too. The registration of marriage, they took their photo. They did it at Tian Ho Kong and all this thing. And I arranged the dinner, of course. Then in-law side, the children, all most of them came back if they can. Because that time was pandemic. But almost all came back except the one in Australia. I think the sister in Melbourne cannot make it. The rest all were there. So the dinner was very sumptuous and very well organized. So everybody was full of joy and they were very happy. Then the other thing that I always advise the children is marriage is not a simple decision. It's a major decision in one's life. When you decide to get married means you commit yourself to a marriage contract. I call it a contract. So you know what a marriage contract is, isn't it? It's like a contract. Means you already make a decision to enter into a relationship with someone, like the ceremonial vow. The Christians have their own, not until death shall we part, how to say. But of course, you can say what you want during the marriage ceremony. But when it comes to reality, you look at the amount of divorce, so many. So I was told the different type of religion, they try to help their people by having this counseling course before marriage and all those things. Then I think the Buddhists also try to copy similar approach. That's why I saw some of the Buddhist society, they are doing it. I remember PGF, they also have that to help people to go through marriage counseling and all those things before marriage and after marriage. And for HGPA, the ceremony is quite well organized. I witnessed a number of them. But theirs is actually very well organized. But it's only for the marriage registration because they have the space and all those things. And they did it very well. And people like to do it there, especially those who are Chinese and they have Buddhist background. They like to have it at the temple. So apart from all this, I think the more important thing is the understanding of marriage. That's why I say it's a major decision we make. Both parties, you decide to enter into a relationship, which we call a marriage contract. That's why you go for registration of marriage. It becomes legal. So that's supposed to bind the two together, because after you are married, you are bound by the legal aspect of marriage. So when you enter into that marriage contract or you agree to make that decision, you have to have understanding for the two to develop the good life together. Otherwise, there will be a lot of problem, a lot of suffering, a lot of misery. That's why there is a famous author, Alexander the Pope. I remember my teacher always say this to us when I was in Form 5 and Form 6. He said, reality begins after the first day of marriage. You know that sentence. Because before marriage, a lot of things are like the mundane mind, you cannot see on, all fake on, illusionary, delusion. They try to act out of it, pretend before they caught you or get your consent to marry you. Sometimes it could be the boy or the girl. They can be very patient. Everything also can, no problem. Take your time. I will wait. Then everything also like actor and actresses. They don't show their true color. But the moment they are registered, then they start to live a life that is no longer alone. You are no longer single. Then they realize a lot of things not compatible. A lot of things doesn't work out anymore. Oh, then don't know what to do. Then later on, of course, you got problem with in-law too. You stay with your in-law. Oh, but most young generation, they don't want to stay there. So that one, most of the aspect of in-law is not really affecting them. But sometimes because of other things, it can lead to a lot of misunderstanding. So what I always advise is, even at my daughter's wedding ceremony, I gave some advice. Then I remember that time one of the Kayamita's daughter was also there. He said, wow, Tio's advice very good. Yeah, I said, when we enter into a marriage contract, in order for that contract to really serve its purpose and work, we have to have this understanding. Once we decide on this, we commit ourselves on this, there is a relationship. And for this relationship to work, the first thing you need is sincerity. Means both of us must be sincere in our approach to this registration of marriage or marriage contract. Then when we have this committed, once we are sincere, we will trust each other. Because trust is very important. If I trust, then our life can go back to normal. No problem. Well, I trust you, you trust me. We will not cheat or deceive or do all those funny things that violate the precepts, the third precept, committing sexual misconduct and all those things. No more such issue. Yeah. Then always remember after that, your life is different. You are no longer alone to decide what you want to do and live your life. You are now married to someone. You have to share a lot of responsibility, duty, and learn to live with each other. So the next thing that comes from trust is sincerity lead to trust. Trust will lead to understanding that because we are sincere to enter into this relationship, we must have this understanding of give and take, or based on consensus, we make decision. Otherwise, it's going to become very complicated. Yeah. Then, through my experience, after seeing so many of these cases and with people consulting me, and I came out with this understanding based on the Buddhist understanding, the Dhamma understanding. That's why I say, your life, you decide. Her life, she decide. So I told them, when it comes to marriage, you have to understand whatever involving your husband's career, his money, or his in-laws, let him make the final decision. He decides. But you can advise as a spouse, as a wife. So similarly, the opposite is the same. The wife, if it's involving your own career, your own parent side, and your money, is the money you already own before you get married, you have the final say. You decide. But your husband can, together with you, support you and advise you, give you advice on whatever. Then whatever you do as a couple, husband and wife, is more efficient than one person do. That's why after that, even they say, well, nowadays, like a lot of people say, to buy landed property is no longer affordable by a lot of young people unless supported by their parents, second generation people. There are some still like first generation. They came out from their maybe hometown, settled down here. They have to sort out things themselves. So when it comes to financing a property, 2% is more efficient than one person most of the time, unless you have a situation where only one is working. But nowadays, most of the time, both are career people working together. Then when you are married, you must separate your duty in a very amicable manner. Whatever one is good at, they will handle the aspect. Like for my case, it's very simple. Well, my wife is a teacher half day and she do her duty very well. So whatever family matter, I leave it to her. I say, you decide. Yeah. Then you need my support or what, you let me know. If I can, I do for you. Yeah. That's why over the years she came to know. She actually like to have a nice kitchen where she cook a lot. I say, yeah, I know. That's why finally I decide to renovate the kitchen first before I did out the whole house. Certain essential thing, basic thing, do it first. Then later on, I say when there is condition, we can have the condition and afford the means to do all those things. Then we will do a proper one. As I at first, we also thought of upgrading to a semi-D or a bungalow. But then I say the best is, because it involves a lot of work as a civil engineer. I know you have to do renovation and all those things. I say the best is buy our neighbor. If our neighbor can sell to us, is the best. Then while we renovate, we stay one side. Then after we finish, we shift over, we renovate the other side. So no hassle, no need to headache. But I saw the other neighbor. Wow, they have to temporarily rent a house for 6 months, extend to 9 months to wait for their house to be renovated. And even though nearby, one road to another, the amount of things that he has to shift in an hour, it was horrendous, not easy. So I said, if you want me to do that, I don't want. I said, we see how it goes. But then we were very lucky. Our neighbor decided to migrate. That's why finally I bought over. Then I did the renovation. So these are the things that we have to develop understanding about marriage. Then when it comes to sorting things out, technical on, I will do. Yeah, I know, I understand them very well. Yeah, then like comes to taking government loan or what. My wife leave it to me because she know I'm very good at all these things. Then I also know we have to prepare ourselves for retirement and all those things. That's why I work towards financial freedom. And she know I'm good at it. She leave it to me. Then things that she is good, I leave it to her. Like taking care of children, marketing. That's why she did her duty very well. So if these are the things that you can sort out and work it out, then there is a lot of harmony, a lot of joy. Then when you have this commitment of sincerity leading to trust, then that relationship become very different. Then even like what we went through, my wife, even her sacrifice, because it was not easy being a teacher and yet had to raise the two kids. She used to tell me, we also don't know how we able to do that, all those things. So these are the things that you must have, the harmony, the understanding. That's why because of that, she also every time like have a lot of gratitude, because when she heard how I help people, the people who came and see me and consult me, she listened to all their problems. She said, wow, really, this world is not easy. Life is really not easy. So much of this marriage problem, divorce, and all those things uh, involving abuses too. A few of them, I think the husband abused them, hit them and all those things. Then one of them had to land in the hospital for 1 month. It was very traumatic, very traumatic. And they cry a lot, suicidal thought, many. So don't wait till all these things happen, then only look at all these things. So marriage to me is an understanding, because if you look at it from the Buddhist point of view, there is coming behind. Of course, first is to do our duty as parents, to marry our children, to make sure we support them and arrange for the marriage. In fact, that is in the Sigalovada Sutra. Then, of course, the harmony part, the understanding part is my understanding. It's not mentioned in the Sigalovada Sutra. So this one is very useful, very helpful. It can help many people. Then if you apply that, their money, their career, their in-law side or whatever, their parents side, let them decide. You only support through idea or giving suggestion and all that thing. But ultimately, it is their decision to make. Then they will trust you. They were there to consult you and ask you on all. Because finally, you don't interfere with their money or their career or what. You let them make the decision. So likewise, when you have children, when your children have children, it's the same. Where they also have their karma. You also have to have the understanding. You cannot control your children, force them to do things. You must eat, you must take this course, you must study this, you must go ballet. No, when you do that, this is coming. What you do, you reap what you sow. In future, you have parents that control you and do all these things back to you. That's why I gave them the freedom. But I have a duty to actually bring them out, educate them, and let them have basic moral understanding, moral principle. Whether they agree or not, want to follow or not, it's up to them. But at least we already given them our advice. I mean, as parents. So that is all in the Sigalovada Sutta. Then the children also, they have their duty when they grow up. They have to support their parents and all those things. It's all stated there. But this is to take care of karma, so that in future, you reap what you sow, what you do will come back to you. You treat your parent, mistreat your parent, you treat your children, or abuse your power during their life or marriage or whatever, then it will come back to you. In future, you will have parents who will object to your marriage and all those things. And the same thing will happen. Do you want all this to be karmically repeated until in future when you come, you suffer again? If you don't want, you want to avoid all this, then better have the Dhamma understanding now. Your life, you decide. You do your duty as parent, you advise. That is very important. Okay, Project. Hopefully this advice can help.
Yes, yes, very good. In fact, what you said, the general understanding of marriage and
Yeah,
the key factors to support a good relationship,
yeah, yeah,
between
yeah,
the spouses, very
yeah,
good. In fact, I actually mentioned sincerity very important.
yeah,
But what you said about trust and give and take, I yet to come to it because I felt that because that was at the beginning stage, so I felt sincerity was the number one first lah. Then
yeah,
follow when you mention about trust and give and take, yes, yes, I will have to follow up on this other aspect as well,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
in fact, Bharatu, I learned a lot from you from previous I mean Dharma sharing, right? That
yeah,
your
yeah,
life
yeah.
is
Mhm.
your life, your choice. You have to make parents will
Ah,
make the advice,
let
So
them make that decision on their own.
correct,
Is
correct,
very important.
correct, correct.
Otherwise, the whole situation can become very complicated and very messy. Then
Yes,
suffering
correct,
will arise, argument will arise,
correct.
misunderstanding. Then this is what the Buddha called the first noble true reality. Dukkha will
Mm,
arise. That's why
yes, yes,
Dhamma is very important. Dhamma can solve our life problem, life situation, every aspect of life, whether it's marriage or living life or going through life, working, career, everything you need Dhamma.
yes. Brother, what
Yeah,
you said, the whole summary of it, is very useful.
yeah, 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 yeah,
I mean, part of it I've done it myself, part of it I've done it myself, but I didn't really think through it. That well, I also have to share this kind of thing, my experience to my kids. Now
yeah,
at the early
because it's
stage.
your duty as
Wow.
parent.
Yes. Yes, yes, as duty,
Mm, mm.
So the way you summarize it is very useful checklist for me, brother Teo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you
No
very much.
problem.
It's
Yeah,
really
you're
good.
most
I
welcome,
find it very
Sadhu.
useful. Yes, very useful. Sadhu, sadhu. Yes,
Yeah,
best is like we do not argue. Be simple.
yeah, that one
Their
is
life.
very
Let them
important.
decide. Yeah, you give
Uh,
three good advice. Yeah, do not
yeah,
argue.
yeah,
Be
yeah.
simple. Their
Then,
life. Let them decide.
just now also in the Maikayamita, you
Mm.
saw the one Amy put the two thumb up on or not? The video, the Koilo one. Actually, his analogy, the example that he gave about the tiger and the donkey is actually with the Dhamma intent inside there. Uh, he
Oh,
said, why you
Bharatio,
want? Ah,
No. I haven't got a chance to actually catch up with all the messages, because I've been
oh,
so
no
busy.
wonder. So you go and
I
listen to it first, then you will
I was
understand.
knocked out, until my
Yeah, I know you're
meditation.
too busy with the
Yeah,
arrangement of this
yes, yes.
registration of marriage for your daughter. So before I forget, once again, congratulations to you and your hubby, Pojang,
Mm.
Sadhu.
Thank
Uh,
you, thank you. Sadhu,
yeah,
sadhu, sadhu. Rejoice, brother Teo.
yeah,
Yeah.
rejoice. In
So
fact,
I will.
Sui An also text me. Uh,
Uh, Bharatiya, I will read. I will listen to that video that you
yeah,
said with
you
the two
listen.
thumbs up.
That
Is
one
it
is very
okay?
helpful.
Okay,
But
okay.
maybe I can summarize the thing here. Yeah, I still have some time. The other thing is we also, as Kayamita, would like to thank you, Sister Pocheng and family, for donating $1,000 to our Kayamita Fund on behalf of your daughter's registration of marriage and all those things, and wishing us to like give her the blessing of the triple gem. Mm. So we
Sadhu,
rejoice.
sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu, sadhu, sadhu,
sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
sadhu,
Yeah.
sadhu.
The gist of the analogy is very good. It is about a story of this tiger. The tiger see the grass as the grass is green. But the donkey somehow, I think, he see the grass as blue. So it was argued. So they argue until both also don't give me. Both also like very stubborn, very rigid. Uh, Then they decide to approach the lion, who is supposed to be the king of the animal in the forest. So the lion, very smart, very wise, he asks, what is the problem? So the donkey said, everybody know the grass is blue. The lion said, oh, blue, huh? Okay, blue. So what is the problem? He said, the tiger said it's green. Then the tiger, of course, also know that it is green. So he talked to the lion and said, it's green. He said, isn't it? But the lion actually ignored the tiger. He told the donkey, he said, okay, for what the tiger has done, we will punish him. For 3 days, he cannot talk. Then after that, the tiger couldn't understand. He approached the lion separately. He said, why did you did that to me? I was not wrong. The donkey was wrong, deluded and wrong. The lion told the tiger, he said, do you know you have created such a big problem? He said, you argue with a deluded guy, stupid fellow. That's why the donkey is like an ass. Is an ass. What? Over the grass. But what I decide to punish you for 3 days cannot talk. It's nothing to do with whether the grass is green or blue. But that is irrelevant to life. In the first place, why you going to argue with a guy who cannot understand, who is deluded, who is very rigid? In normal Dhamma life, it's like that. If you have a situation where that guy is like that, don't waste time. Just like I used to advise you all. If he wants to be right, yeah, you are right. Right according to you. I didn't lie. So just be humble. Accept the reality. Think it's just the way it is. In this world, a lot of people, they have the ego. They want to be right. So wanting to be right can be delusional. Right according to who? They never inquire. They never examine. So all these are beautiful Dhamma. So you go back, you listen, you will understand. Okay, sadhu to you.
Yes, sadhu. Very good analogy. Yes, very useful, good reminder
That's
for us.
why when
Never
Amy
argue
saw the
with.
thing, he give double thumb out, and then I sadhu her. Because she can
Yes.
understand. Because
Yes.
it's very relevant to life, to society. Some people are like that. No point. Why must we try to be right? If we do that, we become like them. We end up no different as them because argument, misunderstanding. So if you have the Dhamma, you will know how to avoid all these things. No point. Even we make the aspiration in that imina punyang kamena. We vow to avoid the foolish without with the wise. The foolish and the heedless, you must avoid them. Understand? Otherwise, you get yourself entangled more and more. You get yourself into trouble for nothing. And most of the time, it's on ideology, misunderstanding. I would say that's why smile, be humble, laugh it out, and just let things be and move on. No need to be right. Okay. I think we already time 6:04. So thank you so much for checking. Anything else you want to add?
No, Brad, I think it's very comprehensive, and very useful for me and for those Kayamitas going to be, having children that is going to,
going through marriage and all those things.
going through
You'll
marriage,
be very
correct? Will be very
useful.
useful, yes. Thank you very much, Brad. I learned so much as
Sadhu,
well.
we also
And
like to
also to
thank you.
Sister Envy for that a very nice analogy, good reminder, don't argue, with foolish people, get entangled for no reason, and suffering will follow you. It's very good, very good. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Brother Teo. Thank you.
Thank you for creating the condition for this sharing to be.